David and Goliath, a tale of faith and courage. The armies of the Philistines had gathered for battle, pitching their camp at Shocho in the land of Judah, between Shocho and Azekah. King Saul and the men of Israel assembled on the opposite side, making camp in the valley of Elah. The two armies faced each other from opposing mountainsides, with only a valley stretching between them, a stage set for confrontation. Then came forth a champion from the Philistine camp whose very appearance struck terror into the hearts of Israel. His name was Goliath of Gath, and he stood over 9 feet tall. Upon his head gleamed a helmet of brass, and his body was protected by a coat of mail weighing 125 pounds of bronze. Bronze greaves covered his legs, and a bronze javelin hung between his shoulders. The shaft of his spear was thick as a weaver's beam, its iron head alone weighing 15 pounds. Before this giant walked a shield-bearer, completing the fearsome sight. Goliath strode forward, and his voice thundered across the valley to the armies of Israel. "Why have you come out to set your battle in array? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man from among you and let him come down to me. If he can fight and kill me, then we shall be your servants. But if I prevail and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us." His challenge echoed off the mountainsides. "I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man, that we may fight together." When Saul and all of Israel heard these words, dismay filled their hearts and great fear gripped them. Now in Bethlehem of Judah there lived a man named Jesse, an Ephrathite with 8 sons. He was old and well respected, and his 3 eldest sons, Eliab the firstborn, Abinadab, and Shammah, had followed Saul to war. The youngest son was David, a shepherd boy who divided his time between tending his father's sheep in Bethlehem and serving in Saul's court. For 40 days, morning and evening, the Philistine giant came forth and issued his challenge. For 40 days, not a man in Israel dared answer. One day, Jesse called David to him. "Take an ephah of this parched grain and these 10 loaves," he instructed, "and run to the camp to your brothers. Carry these 10 cheeses to the captain of their 1,000. See how your brothers fare, and bring me back word of them." David rose early the next morning, left the sheep with a keeper, and took the provisions as his father had commanded. He arrived at the camp just as the army was marching out to the battle line, shouting their war cry. Israel and the Philistines drew up in battle array, army facing army across the valley. David left his supplies with the keeper of the baggage and ran to the battle line, eager to greet his brothers. But as he spoke with them, a dreadful sight emerged. There came the champion, Goliath the Philistine of Gath, stepping forward from the Philistine ranks. He spoke the same words he had spoken every day for 40 days, and David heard them. The men of Israel, seeing the giant, fled from him in great fear. They whispered among themselves, "Have you seen this man who keeps coming out? He comes to defy Israel. The king will give great riches to the man who kills him, even his own daughter in marriage, and his father's house will be made free in Israel." David turned to the men standing nearby. "What shall be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away this reproach from Israel?" he asked, his young voice clear and strong. "For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" The people told him again of the king's promised reward. But David's eldest brother Eliab overheard him speaking, and his anger flared. "Why have you come down here?" he demanded. "And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and the wickedness of your heart. You've only come down to watch the battle." "What have I done now?" David replied calmly. "Was it not just a question?" And he turned away from his brother to ask others the same thing, receiving the same answer about the reward. When David's words were reported to Saul, the king sent for him. Standing before the king, David declared, "Let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine." Saul looked at the young shepherd in disbelief. "You cannot go against this Philistine to fight with him. You are but a youth, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David was undeterred. "Your servant has kept his father's sheep," he explained. "And when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I went out after it and struck it down and rescued the lamb from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its beard and struck it and killed it. Your servant has killed both lions and bears, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, for he has defied the armies of the living God." David's eyes blazed with conviction. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul looked long at the young man before him, then nodded slowly. "Go," he said, "and may the Lord be with you." The king then clothed David in his own armor, a bronze helmet on his head and a coat of mail on his body. David strapped Saul's sword over the armor and tried to walk, but he was unused to such equipment. "I cannot go in these," he told Saul, "for I have not tested them." And he took them all off. Instead, David took up his staff and went down to the brook. He carefully chose 5 smooth stones and placed them in his shepherd's bag. With his sling in hand, he approached the Philistine. Goliath came forward, his shield-bearer walking before him. When the giant looked David over and saw that he was only a youth, ruddy and handsome, but just a boy, he was filled with contempt. "Am I a dog," he roared, "that you come at me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. "Come to me," he bellowed, "and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." David's voice rang out clear and fearless across the valley. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you down and cut off your head. And I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army this day to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saves not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." As the Philistine moved closer to attack, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag, he took out a stone, fitted it to his sling, and let it fly. The stone struck the Philistine on his forehead, sinking deep. Goliath's eyes went blank, and he fell face forward to the ground with a crash that shook the earth. So David triumphed over the Philistine with only a sling and a stone. He had struck down the giant without even a sword in his hand. David ran and stood over the fallen Philistine, drew Goliath's own massive sword from its sheath, and cut off his head. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they turned and fled in terror. The men of Israel and Judah rose up with a great shout and pursued them all the way to Gath and the gates of Ekron. The bodies of the Philistines littered the road to Shaaraim. When the Israelites returned from the chase, they plundered the Philistine camp. David took the head of Goliath and brought it to Jerusalem, but he kept the giant's weapons in his own tent. As Saul had watched David go out to face the Philistine, he had turned to Abner, commander of his army, and asked, "Whose son is this young man?" "As surely as you live, O king," Abner replied, "I do not know." "Find out whose son this young man is," the king ordered. When David returned from killing the Philistine, Abner brought him before Saul. David still held Goliath's head in his hand. "Whose son are you, young man?" Saul asked. David answered simply, "I am the son of your servant Jesse of Bethlehem." And so began the story of David's rise, the shepherd boy, who would become king, who had learned on that day that faith in the living God was worth more than all the armor and weapons in the world. Don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming videos.